This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
On the beautiful island of Sanibel, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. This is episode number 3 of the Sanibel Show, live from the Dunes Golf and Tennis Club. And we want to say thank you to Brian and his friendly staff over at the Island Cow for hosting our first 2 shows. Next week, we'll be at the Community House with John Henshaw and Tim Drobnik. And I want to make sure I say his name right. Both are running for the City Council as our 2 guests for next Saturday. And we want you to please share this page with your friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube page. We broadcast the show both on Facebook and YouTube, and then it gets uploaded as a podcast so you can listen to it anytime you'd like at beachtalkradio.com, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or whatever app you use to listen to your favorite podcast. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. And our news website is beachtalkradionews.com. Sanibel has a big election coming up on March the 2nd. There are 6 candidates running for 3 open seats. And our first guest this morning is Mary Bondurant, one of the candidates for office. And Mary, thanks so much for coming on this wintry day here. First of all, I want to let everybody know we're at the Dunes. Did I say that yet? Yes. Whoa, we're at the Dunes Golf and Tennis Club. And Chauncey Goss will be joining us. Your mic's not on. Will be joining us in 30 minutes. And Mary, again, welcome to the show. We appreciate your time.
Did he say your last name correctly?
Her mic's not on either, dear. Your one job before the show was to turn the mics on. Mary's mic isn't on. We'll start. You want us to start over again?
And your name? Did he pronounce your name
Everything's
correctly?
working now. Did I say your name correctly, Mary?
Say it again.
Mary Bondurant.
Yes.
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
And you have you're wearing a billboard there to promote the candidacy. Very nice.
Yes, it's part of our attire.
So, what made you decide to run for office? Why did you decide to run?
Well, I was. Let's see. Let's go back. I came here 24 years ago.
Yes, that's how we're supposed to start. So
right?
Tell us about yourself and
yeah.
how you got here. And
yeah. Okay. So, 24 years ago, we were invited to Sanibel to our friend's house to spend a day and a night, and then take our kids up to Walt Disney World. They were 4 and 6 at the time, and we had never been to Sanibel before. So we were told that we would fly into Fort Myers and we'd come to a bridge and pay a $3 toll at the time.
That's right. That's right.
And come on, make a left and go to their house and spend a day and a night and visit this beautiful island that they so much loved. Well, that turned into a week. We bought a house here in the Dunes. And we moved the next month.
Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's decisive action.
And if you talk to my children, they'll tell you we never took them to Disney World. It took us 10 years. And we've been paying for that ever since, because I told them, we're going to live in Florida. We'll go to Disney World every day, but they didn't get to go for like 10 years.
Wow.
We just love being here on the island so much. I mean, there's so much to do,
yeah.
And there was so much to discover. I mean, remember, I was only here for a week, driving around with my girlfriend, looking at all the houses that she didn't buy, and found one. And walked in. Fred was playing golf here at the golf course with his friend and a realtor, by the way. And I called him and said, "Hun, when you're done, meet us over here on Mockingbird. Bring the checkbook and the realtor."
Okay.
And he did.
Mockingbird.
Wow. He said, "Really? We're going to wake up to palm trees every single day."
Well, who wouldn't want that, right?
Right.
Is it Mockingbird Lane?
Mockingbird Drive.
Okay,
it should be Mockingbird Lane, right?
Right.
That would be great. Yeah.
So then you moved here, and then how old were your kids at that time?
Sure, they were 4 and 6.
And so then they went to school here at the Sanibel School,
yeah,
right?
so my daughter Bonnie started at the Children's Center of the Island.
Okay.
She was 4, so she wasn't ready to start kindergarten yet. And John started at the Sanibel School back when it was a K through 5.
Right.
And it was 2 classrooms. So his kindergarten and first grade class was combined because the number of children that were not on the island.
And then you were active at the Sanibel School, and then got helped get it go from a K through 5 to a K through 8.
Right.
Is that correct?
So listen to this. So it was a K through 5, and you have to remember at 5th grade, our kids had to be bussed off the island to go to a different school because we had the choice program. And they could get up as early as 5 o'clock in the morning, have to get on the bus, go to whatever school in Fort Myers. And so the PTA that was in place, I think it was Brenda Harity and Marion Ravenna and all of those folks, they really decided that it was time for us to try and make it a K through 5. So we were all on the PTA, K through 8.
Yep.
We were all on the PTA. A bunch of parents, did all the assignments they needed to do with the school board and with Lee County. And they said basically at the end, in a nutshell, hey, if you can get that 5th grade class to go to 6th, and then that 6th grade class to go to 7 to go to 8, you could become a K through 8. Right. I think a lot of people think Sanibel wasn't going to be able to do that, and we did. We got together, young families, we started the Sanibel School Fund locally. Vince Wolalen donated a car so we could have a campaign so we could hire a Spanish teacher. So, and during that time also, I was the school volunteer coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And then just so easy to be involved, I got involved with the Girl Scouts. So we started the Girl Scouts out here on Sanibel, and I had a troop for several years with my daughter in it. And my son was into the sports back in the old days when the rec center was, not what it is today. And he played basketball. I was a basketball coach. We played baseball coach, So I was doing a lot of fun things.
Yes,
but
you have.
I was very fortunate to be a stay-at-home mom for 16 years with my children on this island. So, there was so much to do on the island in the summers. We'd visit Ding Darling, we'd go biking. I know. And we did wear our headgear.
Good. Safety helmets.
Obviously, she heard the first show or two.
That's right. That's right. We're big proponents
and
of
if
helmets.
I was going to ride my bike if the weather was good.
Yeah. We only push the helmets because we've experienced what it is to hit the ground and be saved by the helmet.
Yeah. Well,
So-
my husband as well on our bike, on our shared pathways, and he was very thankful he had his headgear on. Broke a few ribs, but
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
he did good.
So fast forward a little bit, and am I okay,
Right.
dear, to
I was
ask the
just
next?
going to say that.
Go
Go
ahead.
right ahead. I'm
All
just
right.
trying
So
to
you're running for
cue you.
you're running for council, 4-year term for the city council. They're all 4-year terms, correct? So it must be staggered in some
Yes.
way. If there's 3 now, and then is there 2?
And there'll be 2. next,
Okay.
Yes.
So why in the world would you want to run for politics?
Okay. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Well, I
Oh,
served in
no.
the United States Air Force and had a
Yes.
calling for that. And now I feel have been here on Sanibel for 24 years and basically grew up in, my 30s and 40s and partly 50s. That I could give back to the community that's been so good to me. I mean, I want to keep Sanibel. We have a wonderful Sanibel plan that was back in 1974 when we incorporated to take care of this island. And I feel responsible to continue to do that for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and for everyone that drives over that causeway and falls in love with it.
Are there people that are trying to make Sanibel something else? You said to keep Sanibel. Or is there a drive to make it something it's not?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. Our Sanibel plan is in place. We're protected. I mean, I think you spoke with SCCF, and 2/3 of the island is dedicated land. We'd like to keep that always that way, and I think we will.
Nice. What do you see as the issues going forward for Sanibel, the things in the next 4 years, if elected, that you would like to see happen and work towards?
Yeah. So I think the most front thing is the COVID and the pandemic, and we need to recover from that.
Just so people that are listening know, you didn't say the most fun thing. It was a little muffled with your mask, right? You said the front thing, right?
Right.
Okay. It sounded like you said the most fun thing.
No,
I
Well,
was
no,
like,
No fun whatsoever.
no fun at all. No fun at all.
the first and foremost thing.
Yeah, and I think that everybody's taken an economic hit on that. Both our budget at the city of Sanibel, which we'll have to look closely at over the the next year or two, and so is the businesses. And so I think we need to continue to promote Sanibel safe, how we are safe here, keep our mask mandate going, and be open to everybody to let them know that we are open and we're open for business and they can still come. Because, everybody that comes to Sanibel starts out as a tourist they stay a day, maybe a week, then that turns into a month, then 2 months, and then they eventually become an island resident. They usually buy for all the things that it offers.
One of the things that happened at the council meeting last week was they raised the parking for non-residents. It went like up to $300 or something like that. I mean, it really went up a lot. Would you have voted yes for that increase?
Yes, I would have.
How
yes.
come?
Well, when you come to Sanibel, look at the beaches that we're offering you. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and people pay for quality. And this is a beautiful island, and I think that was the right decision to make.
The other thing is we were talking to Brian from the Dunes earlier about the traffic, and do you have any thoughts on? Is there any way to address the traffic? Did you have any ideas about what could be done?
I've been here 24 years, like I said, and the traffic has always been like this, especially February, March, and April, 3 months of the year. And then the thing that I would like to look into a little further, that I've always said, even when we were redoing the causeway back in 2007, is how do you get the traffic off the island? Because we don't have any land to make roundabouts. We can't, widen roads or any of that. And I mean, there's only one way in and one way out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always my thought that once you get to the first bridge going off the island, that you make it 2 lanes right there going out over the islands and the bridges into Summerlin Road, which is already a 2-laner. And that would take twice as many cars off. But I know we have to work with Lee County, and we have to, see if that's a possibility. But I sort of see that might be a possibility in the future if we all work together with the city.
And where would funding like that come from? You have any idea?
Well, the bridge tolls, monies come in, they get grants. So, there's ways to fund anything that you're looking for.
What's your favorite place to eat at on the island?
It's called Chateau Bondurant.
I'm glad you answered that. Most people wouldn't they
well, did you
defer
hear
on
what
that.
she said?
I did.
Okay.
What is that?
That's
It's
my
her house.
Oh. Got me on that one. I didn't know that.
You really?
I thought it sounded like a restaurant
Those that know
to me.
the Bondurants know.
Now, what's your second favorite place outside your house?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Too late.
Well, you know what I always tell everybody? What are you looking to eat? Because all of our restaurants are absolutely fabulous. Last night, Fred and I were at the Blue Rendezvous for a little French food. We now like 400 Rabbit for some Mexican food.
Brand new, right?
Traders, Doc Ford,
Right,
George and Wendy's, Mazzaluna for Italian, Dante's for pizza. I mean, there's just so much opportunity, and they all do a great job.
Awesome.
Now, you mentioned the Sanibel safe, and I know that's one of the, when we had John Lai on last week, and we were talking about that, and you actually were a chamber. You worked with the chamber too, up until recently, correct?
Yes, very exciting. 6 years ago, they asked me to come onto the board for the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm in my second term, 6 years. And in 2019, I was the chamber chairwoman. And I have 2 months, Brian, left, and
pass the torch.
And then I come off the board. Yes, and it has been a really good opportunity. And I think that's another reason why I thought, I could run for city council, because I really got to understand the business community on Sanibel and Captiva Islands, and work with the business owners and see their needs.
How are the businesses doing on the island in relation to the not so fun COVID?
Yeah. Well, they all had the big hit. We had to close down for a little bit. That did affect them greatly. We did open back up, and the traffic count coming over the bridge is going up, and so they're doing okay. I think they're doing as best they can. I know during the pandemic, we, the locals, the residents of the island, tried to support them through takeout. We've added a lot more outdoor seating to the restaurants, and I think people are really enjoying that. So it's going to take a little time, like anything, but I think we're going to be okay.
Do you think the added, because that has come up when we've talked to businesses too, is that added outdoor seating has really been a benefit for them? And is that something that's going to continue, or is that a temporary thing, or the added?
I think it's going to probably be we're going to probably continue with it. I think it's a good thing to maybe promote that. And I think it's a good thing to keep outdoor seating because I think that's going to be some of the new norm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think the chances are we can get hit by a golf ball sitting here? Have you? I mean, you live
Well,
on the
if I
golf.
was golfing,
Yeah, okay,
definitely.
She was
if
golfing.
If I was golfing,
Yeah.
it would be a club.
Now, even
you
if
might
I
actually
was
get with.
putting over there in the putting, you might get hit.
If I
But
was-
no, I
I
think
would
we're
worry
okay.
about the wildlife out here. If
The
I
I
was
nice
out there.
thing is, if you look, those guys are putting in the opposite
Yeah.
direction of
This
us,
is
so I
true.
think we're okay.
If I was golfing, you might get hit with a club.
You're one of them.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So one of the things that was interesting and somewhat controversial on the council was that the when Jason lost his seat for state office, they didn't reappoint him, so they made it fair for everybody to run in the same group there. So everybody was running without because it's impossible in most elections to beat an incumbent. I don't know if it's true locally like it is nationally, but do you think that was the right decision to do it that way? So everybody had to run?
You know, at first I wasn't sure, but I think now it is. I mean, we're all on the same playing field. I thought now it's a very good decision, you know, because you're right. You know, sometimes when people are appointed to a position, you know, it's assumed then that they are automatically going to hold that position, whether it's on city council or anywhere else. And yeah, I think the six of us feel it's very fair.
Any ideas on who you think should be the mayor now that the current?
I heard you ask that
I-
question
Well,
before.
it's just the three of us sitting here. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah,
Do you
the
think?
whole world out there. Well, that's voted with the 5 council members once everybody is seated. You know, and I think that that's a good discussion to have with everybody. There's good pros and cons, and that's what we do up there at the dais. We have good discussion, and I believe whatever 5 council members are up there, they will select the person that they feel is the best. Is that political?
Wow, that was good. That was
That
good.
was awesome. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so, you know, you're a realtor now, is that
Yes,
correct?
I am.
So you have business experience now going into this, but you also, you know, did a lot of volunteer work, a lot of philanthropic work. I was looking at the Let's Pink Out?
Yes.
Yes. So,
Yeah, so how that happened was, so in 2009, I was diagnosed with breast cancer myself, and I became a survivor. And when somebody on this island ever has something like that go on, it's amazing how the community reaches out to help you, your family, and whatever they can do. So I was actually at the Shell Museum's Celebrity Island dinner, not as a celebrity waitress that year. And the chief over at the fire station asked how he could get the mobile mammogram to the station. And I said, I don't know, I'll call and find out. And so we did. And that year, I thought I would give back to the community, and I got the bus over here to the fire station, and we offered mammograms free for anyone who was uninsured, the workers or anyone living on Sanibel. And it was very successful. And the following year, we decided to do it again, and it grew a little bit larger, and we raised money. And now last year we became a 501(c)(3).
Wow.
And we raised over $20,000, and we're helping those in need on the island, whether they work or live, with any cancer-related needs, whether they need a ride to Moffett, they might need help with prescriptions, maybe it's a mom that needs help with lunches for their children. And it's just, I'm very proud of being the founder of that, and I have a wonderful board now organizing that. And it's the 3rd Thursday in October. We do a luncheon over at the firehouse. And of course, this year we thought there's no way we can do it with the pandemic. And we did. We did a drive-through. So you drove into the fire bay. We handed you a box lunch. We sold some T-shirts. We wrote raffle tickets. And all of our raffle tickets this year were outdoor sports things, you know.
Nice.
And we still were able to raise money and have a drive-through picnic. It was very
So the
exciting.
mobile mammogram comes over here once a year? Is that how?
Yeah, well, I think it comes over a couple times a year.
year.
Our rec center, the city of Sanibel, has it come over periodically.
So please, everybody, take advantage of
Yes,
that.
early detection.
Yep.
is very important.
Let's take the COVID out of the discussion if you can ever. What is one, if you get elected, what is one issue you really want to snap into? We need to talk about this. Maybe they haven't been talking about it. You really want to put it on the top of your agenda.
Well, the water is very important to me. I have had the opportunity with the Chamber of Commerce to go on up to Tallahassee twice. I've been able to go out to the C-43 reservoir and see that project underway. And, without clean water, we're going to suffer here on Sanibel and our businesses and our beaches. And that, also, hurts our environment, and that really needs to be an issue that we all stay on top of. And so it's a big priority.
Do you feel this governor's been doing enough for clean water?
Yes,
okay.
I do. Yes. And I'm very proud that he was able to keep the money for the C-43 reservoir in place. And we need to keep that going. And
all the candidates that we've interviewed over the years, no one's ever come on and said, I'm for dirty water.
Right.
I'm surprised that not saying.
Well, it depends on what kind of dirty water you're talking about.
I'm just kidding. Everybody, it's clearly an issue for everybody.
It's huge,
yes.
Yeah. And then, like I said, we have to look at our budget. We have to look at how we can keep Sanibel thriving, financially with the businesses and the tourism and the residents, and protect our residents and protect our island at every cost.
Do you think there's going to be a budget shortfall because of the COVID?
The little bit that I think we're slowly recovering. I think that the previous council has done a very, very good job with the city manager and the finance department to have a budget in place. It made really good decisions that I think will recover. And there's, with any budget, there's going to have to be some things that might have to change, but that's even in your own household budget.
Well, that's true.
When you go to vote on March 2nd, in addition to voting for yourself, who else are you going to vote for? I mean, can you give the voters some indication of who you like?
Wow, you really
here's what's so funny about that. Go ahead. You want to answer that, or you want me to say my piece?
Why do you have to interrupt the question?
No, because I asked that.
We all have the right to vote, and and the reason we do it in a private setting is for that reason. And you're not going to take a selfie
just want
to say vote for Mary Bondurant.
All right,
that's the person you want to vote for. I'm here for you, the city of Sanibel, and all the people, the businesses. So
now go ahead and put the disclaimer on the end of it.
I remember asking that question in another forum, and I got crucified
Who
for
was that?
it.
It was Rexanne. Was it Rexanne that gave you grief about it?
Like,
because you asked it so mean. Why you ask mean questions?
I worded it wrongly. So
well, there are the 6 candidates we're all amazing. We all bring something to the table, and so it's really important. I think that people look at. There's 5 seats. There's 2 people sitting on city council. And what other 3 people would make a nice fit that will work together as a team? Because it is a we, not an I.
And we'll do this again, but go ahead and give out your information, because I was on your website and watched the video, which was a very well done video that you did, kind of explaining much like you did here this morning. But I think that gives people a really good, uninterrupted, view of all the qualities that you have and what you stand for and all of that. So go ahead.
Yeah. So we have the website. We have a Facebook page they can go on to, and yes, the video was done organically, which was very nice.
Really? I mean, it was nice.
Yeah,
it was nice.
I was a nervous wreck. I've never done anything like this before, so it's been a really good learning curve. It makes you grow yourself personally and professionally.
Maybe you should grow a little personally. So how hard has it been to campaign when you're not really, maybe you are going door to door, but
no, I have a really good team working together. We are not going door to door. We are not holding any social events due to the pandemic. I think we're reaching out to everyone with a card, a handwritten card that's gone out in the mail. We're making phone calls. I'm asking anybody that would like to talk to me personally to just give me a call, yeah, so I think we're doing very well. I mean, we're really reaching all the people.
When you call people, does anyone ever hang up on you?
Not yet.
Okay,
Not
well, that's
yet.
good. I wouldn't think anybody on Sanibel would do that. Maybe in Fort Myers or something.
Well, you
but
know,
not in Sanibel.
you're calling people,
That
we're a nice small community.
Yeah.
So, people are very kind here. I introduced myself right up front, and I think I have a name recognition. So unless they're not hanging up on me, which I really appreciate. So.
Well, what else would you like our listeners far and wide to know?
Far and wide. Well, I love the island. I love the people, the community, and I hope that everybody sees that. I have a very good passion for this island, dedication, and, I would love to serve on city council, and I'm asking each and every one of you for your vote, and it would be greatly appreciated, and I'll work hard for you.
Did you want to give out your phone number or?
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Okay, yeah, you
it's
didn't
in every
mention it
paper
before.
anyway.
Okay.
239-839-3633. Call, text. If I don't answer, I'm usually with the client. So please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
And there have been forums already that I think people can go back and watch. The
Chamber of Commerce had one, and the League of Women Voters just had theirs last week, and we have SCCF coming up and the Republican one coming up.
And they're all on Zoom or something like that, right?
Yes, they can all be watched virtually on Zoom.
Which in a way is good because you can watch it anytime you want. If you're not able to watch it live, they usually put them up
they send
online.
out the links just like yourself, so people can go back and listen and learn.
Well, cool, Mary. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for inviting us into your little neighborhood here in your golf and tennis club.
Yeah. Yes, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been a great visit to the Dunes Golf and Tennis Club. I always want to say Golf and Country Club, but it's a golf and tennis club, right? Do you play a lot of tennis?
No, I am
pickleball?
a huge pickleball.
I've never played pickleball, but it's big on Fort Myers Beach too.
Yeah.
People love it
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a great sport. I encourage everyone to give it a try.
When was the last time it snowed on Sanibel? It feels like it's about 40 degrees right now.
Or
that's just because our blood is so thin.
We don't get snow on Sanibel, but we get liquid snow, and that's what you're experiencing today. Is the liquid snow.
It's nice and breezy.
Yes.
I think it's nice it's nice to have a change of weather every
surely
once in a while.
It's definitely very, very nice.
Still a good day to come on out.
Yeah.
Go to the beaches. I'm sure a lot of shells will be washing up this.
Yeah.
It's
with the winds.
The premier shelling place over here. So.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Mary, and good luck in the
right.
race. And we'll talk to you maybe when you're on the council.
I hope
as a
so.
council member.
Thank you very, very
A
much.
big
Okay, vote
artificial
Mary.
round of applause for Mary Bonderon. And it's gonna take me a while to read all of the information from Chauncey's background. So while he's making his way over to the facility here, I want to tell you it's a great pleasure to have our next guest back on. Not that it wasn't a great pleasure to have our first guest on, but this time closer to his home here in Sanibel, where he grew up in the 1970s and the 1980s. He is a council member now temporarily, but he was a council member back from 2015 to 2019. He began his professional career as the executive director of the nonprofit Gasparilla Island Conservation and Improvement Association in Boca Grande. He spent time in Washington, D.C., working on the federal budget. Governor DeSantis appointed Chauncey to the governing board of the South Florida Water Management District in 2019. And he was chosen as the chair by his colleagues. He's involved in a few things in the community here. Take a couple of breaths before I read them all. He's a member of the Sanibel Captiva Kiwanis, the Sanibel Community Church. We lost our camera. He's on the board of trustees of the Canterbury School, the board of directors of Captains for Clean Water, the United Way, the Community Foundation of Southwest Florida. He's also been a board member of the Sanibel Community Association, Ding Darling, the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation, and the Lee Coast MOAA Foundation. Chauncey Goss, thanks so much for coming back on the show. We appreciate your time very much.
No, thanks very much for having me, Ed and Kim. I really appreciate you all coming out here. I think it's great that Beach Talk is moving to Sanibel a little bit, and it's great that you're doing this during our election season, and you're helping educate our constituency as to what our candidates are thinking. And I really thank you for doing that, because the more educated the constituents, the better vote they're going to make.
And
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
yeah, and you were on first when we were on doing our show on Fort Myers Beach, so we appreciate you doing that. And you're on the council now. Kind of take us through how your name got thrown into what took place there.
Yeah, what happened with the council was I hadn't really planned on doing that. It sort of came up out of nowhere. When Jason and Kevin decided that they were going to run for higher office, they both sort of ran afoul of something that the legislature did a couple of years ago, which is the resign to run law. And if you have to, if you're going to run for higher office, you have to make the decision: am I willing to lose the office I have now? And they both made that conscious decision and decided that they were willing to take that risk and ran. And so they both had to resign. So that left 2 open seats on the council. So there were a dozen, maybe a little more than that, people who had asked to be appointed to the council when those seats came up. I thought, I'm going to put my name in, and I'm not going to, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to say, I will run, or I will take the appointment, but I'm not going to run. And if you're interested in putting someone on who's not going to have the incumbents and all the things that come along with incumbency, the prestige of incumbency, sort of putting the thumb on the scale a little bit of the election, then I'd be willing to do that. And I will, sit in for a couple months and be a council member. I'd just been on the council, so it was easy for me. There was not a lot of spin up that I had to do with the staff or orientation. Staff's a little bit stressed out right now with COVID, and I didn't, if they have to bring a lot of people up onto what's going on, because there's a lot that the staff does, there's a lot that council does. So it worked out well. And the same with Jerry Minch. He had been on council before he was appointed. He's not going to run. So I think it's worked out very well.
And you said 12 people. So some of them were obviously ones that are running now, and others that.
Yeah, and that's what I had encouraged. And at the time was we haven't had a contested election on Sanibel in a while. So I really wanted to see a contested election because we have so many good people, and I wanted to see them run.
Right. Well, I'm going to have the wind is getting distracting. I'm worried. I'm watching the camera about ready to fly over again.
Well,
but,
I put my purse behind
ahead, dear, I'll
it,
fix
so
the camera. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask. The last time, as Ed mentioned, the last time you were on, you had just gotten appointed, right?
Yeah.
And so what's been going on with the water management district? Because I have lots of questions about that.
Oh,
stuff.
good. We've been really, I'm glad you do it. I'd much rather talk about that.
When he comes back, he'll do the politics, but this is my jam. So go ahead.
Well, we've been really busy. We have an incredible staff, an incredible board of directors on the governing board. And most importantly, we've got a governor and a legislature who are very engaged with making sure that we get some projects built and finished. And those projects are going to help places like Southwest Florida with our water quality. So we're moving ahead. COVID's been tough, but the district has responded really well. We've got a staff of about 1,400 people, and they, with our IT department and doing some other interesting things from working from home, they really haven't missed a beat. We're ahead of schedule on some of the projects we need to be, and we're chugging along on pretty much everything. So things are looking good right now from a water quality standpoint. It's all money dependent. And, I hate to be here with my hand out, particularly in a COVID year, because, the state revenues are taking a little bit of a beating. Federal revenues are taking a beating, but we're going to keep agitating for what we need. The governor's been incredibly supportive, and his budget's awesome. So it just came out last week. So it gives us the money we need to keep moving ahead and making progress.
And can you give people a sense of the scope of the district, because it is the largest one out of the 5, correct?
Yeah, the water management district's huge. It runs from Orlando all the way down to the Keys, and so it's enormous. And there's almost 9 million people in it.
And it includes Lake O and the Everglades, so it's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to manage in there.
There's a lot of management, and it's something that, as I said, we've got a staff of about 1,400. They do a great job managing it. And the primary reason for the water management district originally was flood control, particularly on the East Coast, to make sure that places like Fort Lauderdale and Miami didn't flood. We got that down pretty well, and now we're trying to sort of figure it out, so make sure we're not doing environmental damage.
So when the red tide situation hit a few years ago, it was devastating. When you saw what was you felt like it was about to happen again at the beginning of the season here. It wasn't as bad, but there were some. What were you thinking when you were watching it?
Well, I watch in horror with red tide, to be honest, because we tried really hard, and we've been working very closely with the Corps of Engineers to do something that they have called operational flexibility, which is basically to have a situational awareness to be able to say, okay, if there's red tide here, we're not going to do lake releases if we can do something else. Or if there's blue-green algae right here by that lock, we're not going to do lake releases if we can do something else. And they've been really good about holding off. They held off on the lake releases till really late. Mm-hmm. And that was good for us because it could have been much worse. We did have some releases that we probably didn't need, but the lake was too high. We have had some red tide lately. I've had discussions with the Corps recently to say, look, when there's red tide, can you guys hold off a little bit? This is getting to the dry season. It's a time of year when we do like some water, and we're looking for about 1,000 CFS, cubic feet per second coming out of the lake. That's about what we want. They had us scheduled for 2,000. I think they're going to revise that back to 1,500. That's okay. Our harm threshold's about 2,100, so we're okay. But it's not ideal, but it's not awful. But it does help to take some of the water off the lake, which we're trying to do right now. Because come wet season, if that lake's really high, we're going to end up with discharges.
So, when is it going to be a situation where you don't have to worry about that? What's being done in the most basic of terms so you don't have to shoot the water down at us?
Yeah, the short term is when you've got a really good discussion with God on what he's doing with the rain. That's when I don't worry about it. But when all of the SERP projects are done, and the SERP is the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Projects, when they're all finished, which is it's going to be a little bit of time still, we're going to be able to reduce discharges in the 80% range. So we're not, that's from a worry standpoint, it's, I'll take 80%. Right now we're nowhere near there. One of the biggest projects on that is the EAA reservoir down in the Everglades agricultural area. That's going to take that's a huge reservoir. We're building the stormwater treatment area for it now. The Corps of Engineers will be breaking ground on that in the next couple of years, so that'll be done in the next few years. The C-43 reservoir, which you referenced and Mary talked about it a little bit, having a chance to visit, that's under construction now. That's something that should be done in the next 2 or 3 years. On the other coast, we've got something called the C-44 reservoir and STAs. Those are almost finished. They'll be done this year. And then up north of the lake, we're looking to see what we can do up there with a bunch of different technologies that we can use and just storing some water on areas north of the lake.
Can you talk a little bit about how the STAs and the how it works to clean the water, and then there's the storage in the basins? Is that how it works?
Yeah, there's two different things. So you can take dirty water and put it, or water that has it's not necessarily dirty, it's just
nitrogen
high
and phosphorus.
Nitrogen and phosphorus. And you can store it, but it doesn't get rid of the nitrogen and phosphorus. So you then have to take it out and clean it. And I know you all talked, I think, a little bit with Jason about Jordan Marsh, and that's just on a much smaller scale, something we're doing here on Sanibel. So if you take that water and you run it through plant material, it's going to start to remove some of the phosphorus and maybe a little bit of the nitrogen.
And all the abbreviations and things that you mentioned that went completely over my head about the water. Is the Everglades Restoration Project part of all that? And how does that fit into what's going on with the water, and where is it?
Yeah, the Everglades Restoration Project, or SERP, and that's the cost share we have with the federal government. That's a 50-50 thing. It was signed back in 2000. We just had our 20th anniversary of that, and it's about 69 projects. I don't think we finished one of them. So we are very close to finishing some ones that are really going to make a difference here. And that's what's important. So I think in the next decade, you are going to see a huge sea change in what we can do to get the water right in South Florida.
Is there always going to be enough money there to get all this done? I mean, it seems like with this governor there is, which is great.
No, that's, to be honest, going back over the last 20 years, the reason things haven't been finished is because you stop and start and stop and start. And that's not a way to build a house or a reservoir or anything else. You need a good funding stream to do it. So that's something that we're very conscious of, and we're working hard, and we worked very closely with the Trump administration. I'm sure we'll work closely with the Biden administration to make sure that we have money through our congressional delegation here in Florida, and our state legislature has been very good, and our governor's been great.
No, I just wanted to say one other thing. When I was on the website, and people, you should go on the website. There's a lot of information.
There is.
That you have a lot of transparency with that agency. Everything's, you can see all the meetings and vote. And one of the things I found interesting is the fifth thing that was on the list, which is the Python elimination program.
Yeah, that's not part of our original charter, but it's something that we
Inherited? Did you inherit it?
Well,
or what?
no, it's something that it's come out of necessity. We do have to take care of invasive species on our lands. We manage a ton of lands. We own a ton of land.
Yes, you do.
And
well, not you personally,
well,
but yeah.
not me personally, no, but the water management district, we have 1 million acres or something, and it that needs management. You can't just have land in Florida sit there fallow. It needs to be managed, or it gets run over by invasives. And the python's one of them, and that's really something that's been a problem. This governor took an interest in it, and we're working closely with. We started a project, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, and along with FWC, and they were going on one path, and we were going on another path, and then the governor said, "Hey, why don't you guys work together?" So we're now coordinated. We're working together, and we've got some phenomenally good python hunters. So you can go out in the Everglades, you can hunt these things.
There you go.
And you get paid. It's actually I've been out a couple times. It is fun.
So what?
Do you know how much you get for an 8-foot python?
I didn't know you get anything for it.
Yes.
Oh, heck
You
yeah.
get $150.
Oh, so
Hey, but if you catch 3 of them,
And a nest.
what is causing what do the pythons cause that they need to be what? I don't know what
disrupt the wildlife.
Well, that's what I would like to know.
They're what you would call an apex predator. They're the very top. They're I guess like a shark would be in the ocean, and they're just eating everything.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there's nothing left in the Everglades, and all the fur-bearing animals are
because
gone.
of them.
Because of them.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're huge.
They're voracious eaters.
And how do they reproduce? Like how many eggs can?
Like hundreds.
No kidding.
Or 100.
And so you're allowed to catch as many as you can, and then what do? You kill them, or do they eat them? What do they do with them?
They humanely dispose of them.
Okay, they kill them. Here, here. Look at you,
I was-
Chauncey. Very nice, man.
I was shocked at how big they are, and
How big do they grow? How big can they get?
do you want me?
Go ahead and answer that.
I was the last on the website. The last size measurement was over 17 feet. That's
Wow.
How.
Jeez,
They
that's
are
big.
They're huge.
They can be enormous.
can
They
be
can go up to
enormous.
20 feet.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that big.
I don't want to see one that
want it.
Are
big.
they dangerous to humans, Chauncey?
Generally, no. I mean, no. I don't think any human has been attacked by a python except a python hunter.
Except in the movies.
Except in the movies, but they are pretty much wiping out everything in the Everglades.
So back to the water for a
Sorry.
second. That was a good question. I'll give you
Okay.
3 bells for that when we go home.
All right.
So the most basic argument you hear people use about the red tide is big sugar. It's just that with nothing in between, they say big sugar is the reason why there's red tide. Can you kind of debunk that or explain that or explain why people say that?
Well, I don't. I think it's a huge oversimplification. There certainly, if you're loading, there is causation, there's correlation. So what the scientists will tell you, and I am not a scientist, but I hang out with some smart people, and so they'll tell me this thing, and it rubs off. But we don't know exactly what causes red tide. We do know that red tide likes to eat nutrients like phosphorus. So if it starts and we see it popping up here, and then we're dumping phosphorus on top of it, pretty good indication that it's going to like that, and it's going to make it stick around a little bit longer, and it's going to make it a little bit more intense. And I think that's what we saw back in 2018, particularly after Irma sort of messed up the lake a little bit and brought a lot of phosphorus up, because the lake bottom's full of phosphorus because it's just legacy nutrients in that lake from from farming a long time ago. So that it's a real problem. All throughout our watershed, we need to figure out how to deal with phosphorus and nitrogen to make sure that we're not loading up the waters that are going into the state. So the runoff you see isn't full of phosphorus and nitrogen. And that's something the DEP Department of Environmental Protection is working very closely with us, with the Water Management District. It's really more their purview than ours, but we work closely with them to make sure that we do something. We have total maximum daily loads of things, or TMDLs, of things like phosphorus and nitrogen. And you talked about that a little bit last week with the Jordan Marsh. And we said, okay, we have some targets. The Lake Okeechobee has targets too. So we're trying to make sure that we can get our phosphorus and our nitrogens down to those TMDLs. We're nowhere near it yet.
And aren't they?
Hold on. Adam Botan is watching. He said he's looking forward to working with you.
Likewise, Adam is going to be a wonderful representative.
And he's got some water in his background too, doesn't
he cares a lot, and his business is totally dependent on it.
Yeah.
So no one's going to run a boat when there's red tide.
Do you feel that all the people involved in solving this water issue are honest, all the way up to everybody and every committee and every level and all the people involved?
I think everyone's well intentioned. Honesty is one of those things that I can't say, I think that it's representative of society. I mean, no, not everyone's honest, because I don't think everyone in society is honest. So if you're going to take that representation up, probably there are people who aren't honest. I think probably more than honesty is special interests or self-interest.
Okay.
That drives some of the discussion sometimes, and it causes some of the fracture sometimes.
Any more water questions?
Well, no.
He clearly explained everything.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the water.
Well, I think one of the
district.
other, when we were talking about big sugar and nitrogen, and the nutrients, is that, there's a big push now. And I was looking on the website about the best practices for urban and agricultural.
Absolutely. And it's something that everybody needs to be doing. We're working closely with what they call FDACS, which is Department of Agriculture and Community Services, which is Nikki Fried's organization, or it's not her organization, but she's the commissioner. We work closely with FDACS because they manage basically the agricultural side of it. And we got to do better. We have some places where we're doing pretty well. We have some places where we aren't. And fortunately, we know the difference, and we've spent a lot of money on monitoring over the last couple of years, and we put another couple $1 million, I think, into monitoring. That monitoring is going to help us, so I can say, hey, I got a problem here, it's really bad. I've got a problem over there, it's not so bad. Let's focus over here where it's really bad, and rather than pulling everybody into this thing and doing a one-size-fits-all solution, let's look at where it's really bad, figure out why it's bad, and then address it.
When Mike Pence comes to town, you think you can sneak him on the show? A chance? I mean,
I hope he's down here soon. He deserves a vacation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I hope he gets on your show.
That's talk about Mr. Loyalty there. Mr. Loyalty is.
I don't know.
I felt bad for him, but
he's a wonderful person.
Yeah. So, how did you get involved in community service? I mean, the list of things that you've been involved with has been crazy. And how do you have time for family with all that stuff?
I clearly can't hold a real job, but I have a consulting business, and it's so sometimes it has to take a back seat. But I think that the short answer is my dad and my mom were both very involved. And Dad was the first mayor out here, and
he was. I didn't even know that.
Helped get the city incorporated, and so he's the person. Mary was talking about the Sanibel plan, and Dad and his colleagues at the time helped or did write that. So all the land use, all the things the reason Sanibel sort of looks like Sanibel today is a result of some of the efforts that that generation has put into it. So I as a kid, I saw that, and I thought, hey, this is something, if you want it to be nice, you got to work a little bit harder for it to be nice.
When you sit around Thanksgiving with your dad and your family, and you look at national politics now, it probably is a little bit different than back in the day when he was running, or even when you run in a small community like this. It's just gotten so ugly that they make it look like good people don't want to run or aren't running. It's just crazy people.
Well, I think you're unfortunately onto something there. And I talked to Dad when he served from 88 to like 2004 or 5 as our representative here. And you talk to him now, and he said it's just very different. There was much more working across the aisle then. It wasn't a shirts and skins type game all the time, which seems to devolved into, and it doesn't look that fun. And when Congressman Rooney announced he was going to retire, I've run twice. I haven't been successful twice. I looked at running one more time, and I thought I don't think I'd be very good at what politics wants now, which is
certainly less dignified.
Well, I don't know. It's just I think I look at a guy like Byron who won, and I think Byron's perfect for it. Byron is an incredible orator, and he's very he's very good at messaging, and I think that's excellent. And I think that's probably what we need right now. More than anything, is you've got to have someone who's really good in front of the camera and can get your message out quickly. And that's not necessarily my forte.
We had Byron down on the show on the beach, and you're right, and they had so many people running for that seat, it was hard to keep track of, and then others were switching to different seats to run. And the thing, even in that race, there was the last minute texting scandal on the day of the election.
Yeah, that was a weird
so
race.
Much negative.
Really glad.
The negativity with some of the flyers was brutal.
So you were you were on the council for 4 years. What do you feel like you got? What was the biggest accomplishment that you had during that 4-year tenure here on Sanibel?
Well, I think more than anything, Sanibel is pretty good right now. So it's keeping it pretty good. It's not messing it up. It's, a little bit like the Hippocratic Oath, which, you do no harm with the doctor's take. So it's the same thing there. It's like, let's keep it the way it is. Traffic was really an issue. It continues to be an issue. It's always going to be an issue. We addressed it. The mayor was very good at that and following some of the technological things that we can do now. As we're trying to get a little bit smarter there. So I think that's one thing. I think that the city's on pretty good path right now, is to trying to figure out how to deal with traffic. I mean, it's impossible because we have one road, but it's,
and there's no way to extend it into two lanes.
There's nothing you can do, but you can be smart about it, and you can tell people, you can encourage people to come at certain times. I think we probably ought to look, with the county over time at flexible pricing on the bridge, so that you encourage. I think they do it in the Cape right now. You encourage people to come over at certain times and discourage them at other times, just through the pricing mechanism. Say, hey, it's sort of expensive now. Let's not go now. Let's wait 2 hours. And you can do things like that to change behaviors. Major
project coming up, that area there that Lee County came to the council to present. What do you think about that? You think that it's wonderful? Okay, you like all the elements of it?
Well, I don't know about all the elements, because I didn't study all of the elements, because they're probably going to be changing over time anyway. But I think that just the fact the county's paying attention to it, those parks are awesome, but they're really overused and they're not very well managed. And that, it's a safety issue.
Because people can weave in and out at any time. There's no structure.
Because it's the only way on and off the island for us. So, when we're going off the island, it's a road. And when those people are picnicking there, they're looking at it as, picnic area.
Yeah.
So those two don't go very well together sometimes. So you get, little kids running across the street, going to the bathroom on one side because there's not a bathroom on the other side, or because their family's over on the other side, or just because they're having fun.
Yeah, we went back over there, and it was really busy last week, and people were parked all over the place.
It just needs a little bit of organization.
Yeah,
I don't think, it's no one's intent to shut anything down. I think it's a wonderful place to go watch the sunset and hang out for the day and have a picnic. It's awesome, but it just needs to be organized a little bit.
Are you going to be sad to see the porta potties go for real bathrooms, or that was one of the things they said they were going to replace, which was, I was like, I didn't even know there was one there. Oh, there is one there.
Well, I know that real bathroom gets a lot of use, but
there's one on each side though, isn't there right now? Yeah,
but I think they're
on the different islands.
They're on the different
islands.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha,
on the different side, because that was what I noticed when we went back, is some lady, she didn't dart out in front of us, but it was close. And you're like, yep, I can see this happening, Yeah.
And there's really no, if you want to go and sit on one of those islands and park or whatever, there's not really a spot where it's clear, okay, this is where I turn. It's like chaos. So.
And there was an RV over there. There was a pretty good size RV sitting there. And I was like, though, that's taking up quite a bit of space, but it is a great area. If you want to be near your car, that's a huge benefit.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great place to go.
It's great.
What are what's your impression of how the election's going, how the race is being run, and how the,
on Sanibel?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I'm delighted that we have 6 really, really good candidates. And it's, that's what my hope was, that we would have a contested election, that we would have, 6 people, 10 people, however many people get on the ballot, so that and be able to do shows like this, be able to do some of the forums they've been doing, so people could make it a informed choice, and help pick who they want. So I'm really happy with how it's going. And I think we're really lucky to have such good people step up and be willing to step up and run, because I've run a couple of times. I know it's not fun, and I really appreciate them doing it.
One of the things on Fort Myers Beach in the election the last time was the negative flyers that were coming from not even outside they were coming from a different county or somewhere in Sarasota or something. And it was just so negative. We don't live on Sanibel. Do you get any flyers like that down here? Or is it mostly signage and
I hope
forums?
Not. And I would.
You haven't seen anything yet?
No,
that's good.
I can't imagine anyone going negative. This is a pretty positive place, and this is a pretty positive election. And again, the council pay is 0, so it's not like you're getting something.
Right.
You win. Yes, you get to serve your community, but there's spending money to run a negative ad just make no sense to me.
Who would be the perfect mayor of Sanibel on March 2nd?
The perfect mayor. It's going to be somebody. I could see anybody, any of the people running, any of the people on the council will make a great mayor. And the reason I say that is because when you look at the charter makes a strong city manager and a weak mayor. That's the way we're set up. And the mayor's job is really, it's really not anything more than ceremonial when you read our charter. So it's a weak mayor system. So what had happened when my dad was first mayor, he was mayor for a year or so, and someone else was mayor for a year or so, then someone else was mayor for a year or so. So it's not something that you sort of get entrenched with where I'm the mayor for, a long time. So I think that, as long as everyone understands that going in, any of them are going to would be a great mayor.
Do you think the reason I never heard it called the weak mayor, but I understand why now. Do you think that's the reason they did it is because they didn't want somebody entrenched in a position where, although Kevin was the mayor for 10 years, I'm not saying anything negative about that.
I'm not
but
either.
Yeah. But is that kind of what the thinking was?
It was. And that's when I talked to Dad, that is what the thinking is. It's like being mayor is a little bit more work. And so, you can ask one of your council members, say, look, I want you to, I'll do it for a year. It's a little bit more work. You're not getting paid anything more because no one's getting paid anything.
You're the public face of the community.
You're the public face of the community, but then you let someone else do that. And then you work very closely with the city manager and work through it. And I think that was the intent originally.
And the city manager you have here, she's
phenomenal.
We need to get her on. Everybody's been saying
right?
that. Yeah.
We are very lucky.
So when you and your dad sit around for Thanksgiving and chat about starting, like I don't ever know anybody that started they must have said to Lee County, we're gonna incorporate.
Yeah, and it goes back to
the whole
sort
process of putting that together.
Yeah, it's the whole home rule thing. Come to life, and you say, okay, I don't like what you have done, or I don't like your vision for us. We have our own vision, and we're gonna proceed with that vision. So there was a big there was a vote out here. It was very contentious. It was, people sort of think it was a big kumbaya moment for Sanibel. I don't think it was. And when I talked to Dad, I was pretty young, but when I talked to Dad about it, it really, there were lawsuits and
really?
neighbors not talking to neighbors, and it was a little bit ugly because it was a change.
Just out of curiosity, do you think did you recall, or did you know what maybe people didn't want to be part of a smaller town? What were they?
I think there was a large concern by the development community at the time that they were going to be put out of business.
Gotcha.
And that people just didn't want to say, okay, we're going to pull up the bridge or pull up the drawbridge and it's the drawbridge at the time and say we're not going to let anyone on Sanibel. But that was never the intent, and it was never the intent. Dad's focus, I think, at the time was making sure that we were able to preserve what we had with nature here, because it's just an incredible spot. As Mary mentioned earlier, 2/3 of the island will never be developed because it's a nature preserve. I mean, that's pretty amazing. When you look at a barrier island and you look at what we could have had under sort of the old zoning maps, with the county, where there could be some very high intense development.
Do you think the mask ordinance is the right thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's I don't think it's necessarily an ordinance, but yes, it is. I'm not a doctor, but when I talk to my friends who are doctors, they say wear a mask. When I talk to my friends who are epidemiologists, they say wear a mask. The infectious disease experts say wear a mask. So for me, it may not be protecting me, but if it's protecting you, then I'm happy to do it.
Go ahead.
No.
Okay. So
I'm looking at the big audience that's gathering
wow.
out here.
This is
great.
Here? Wow. So what I wish I had speakers now. Like
I know.
So are there any parts of Sanibel that are still owned by the county? Are there any, like they did on Fort Myers Beach, they made sure they kept a few, somehow they made sure they kept a few parks.
I think Bowman's Beach is owned by the county and managed by the city, but I'm not 100% sure. And then Turner Beach, maybe the same thing there. I'm not positive who actually owns the land, but I know we have relationships with the county. The same with the school and the ball field. They own some things. The school district owns some things. We own some things. Lee County Parks and Rec owns some things, and I can't remember who owns what, but it's a good working relationship with all of them.
So you are going to be on this the water management until 2024, I believe, right? That's when
I have no idea.
Okay, you're not running. You're not running for the election here. What else does Chauncey Goss want to do?
I'm pretty happy right now. I've got.
I don't mean today, Chauncey. I mean with your future political career.
I don't. The way I look at things is when if there's a void that needs filling and I think I can fill it, I will. But I'm not. I don't really have I don't have anything I want to announce right now because I have no idea.
What do you do for fun on the beach?
I windsurf.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I grew up windsurfing and absolutely love it. I also sit on my butt and read a book.
Well, today's the day to get out there and windsurf. You really get
day.
taken off.
Yeah, it is.
What book are you reading now? Thank you.
I read I read a lot of novels, and I have a Kindle, and I honestly don't ever know the name of them because you're not holding the book, and
seeing the cover all the time, right?
Reading.
James Patterson books.
I love them.
Yeah.
That
Just finished The Russian.
It's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Any other questions you have, dear?
No,
for
I was
Chauncey?
just going to
we hate
say,
to let him go, because he's such a great guest.
When and if you do decide, to do something in the future, please feel free to come back on the show
thank you very much.
debut the announcement here.
with Mike Pence, hopefully.
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully you got him. And thank you. Again,
Thanks so much for coming on and coming down.
Thank you so much.
How about a big hand for Chauncey Goss, everybody? And that's not an artificial round of applause. That is wonderful.
I mean, it's
Thanks,
great
Chauncey.
To look
we
out
appreciate
and
your
see
time very
everybody
much.
Here.
So,
that was great.
Dear Brian was going to come on. We want to make sure we thank Brian and Chauncey. The list of things that he's involved with, or was involved with, or continues to be involved with, or Brian's coming on.
Say hello to all of our folks watching from out of the area.
Oh, that's right. You wanted to mention that.
Lots of people from Michigan and Indiana watching the show. I mean, there's really a huge crowd here. Thank you so much.
Group of people here, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brian, and Brian, you could take that windscreen off if it makes you more comfortable. But we want to say thank you so much for inviting us down and having us do the show from here. It was such a lovely location, and you were super nice, and you were even funny this morning too, which was nice.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate you guys coming, and I'm glad you came out. And it's nice that Mary brought her little entourage.
Yeah, that's quite a big group.
We only bring top-notch guests.
That's right.
Chauncey Goss, he follows us around now. We just can't get rid of the guy. He wants to be on every week. Oh yeah, he's so nice.
As I said to you guys earlier, I mean, he's a really good man. He's doing some really good things, and this island means a lot to him, as it does to Mary.
Yeah.
So real nice people to have.
So tell us your story. You were telling us before the show that you've been married 36 years. You've been running the dunes for 5 years, and I just told your story for you. But fill in the details there, Brian.
So I moved down here in '87 from Bloomington, Indiana. But you just talked about Mike Pence. He and I grew up in the same town.
Nice.
His brother and I, who now has his old congressional seat, graduated high school together, and I came down to interview for this job 5 years ago, and nice family out of Ann Arbor who own 4 hotels here on the island. They own the Outlet Mall and Periwinkle Place. So they're well vested here in the Sanibel area.
Very nice. And so it's a neighborhood of houses and a golf course and a country club and tennis.
Yep. We've got 7 Har-Tru courts, an 18-hole golf course, which
is open to the public, even though you're in a.
Yep. We're semi-private. We actually have a golf outing going on this morning, as you guys see.
Yep.
So yeah, people come out, give us a call, come on out and play. Golf is this pandemic situation. Whoever thought a health situation would get golf the kick and jumpstart it needed again. Nationally, golf is up 13%. We're up between 20 and 25% since May.
Because it's all about social distancing and being outside, which is really
exactly
what people say is better than being inside in a group.
Exactly. And, our restaurant, we're doing okay, struggling a little bit, but everything on the golf course is just awesome.
And so people can, again, come to the restaurant even too. You don't have to have a membership of anything. You can go drive in and have some food.
Yep. We do lunch every day and dinner 2 days a week. And as you can see, we have this pavilion we're sitting in, and we serve lunch out here also. So you can eat outside or inside.
Can people use this for events? Is this kind of what this is set up for?
We do. We lease it out, and we do quite a few parties, functions, and weddings.
Jay's watching from Cincinnati, just like you were mentioning earlier, that people watch from, their winter homes, which is crazy right now. It's so cold everywhere. So
they're living vicariously through
the backgrounds
of the show.
Well,
and
Jay, I grew up 70
down.
miles west of where you're at, and it gets really cold there.
Yeah. Well, we thank you again, Brian, for having us down here. It was a great setup, and it's such a nice location, and Sanibel's the whole island's just great.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys coming. Good luck to you.
Brian, everybody
so
from the Dunes Country Golf and Tennis Club, not Golf and Country Club. So, and thanks again to Chauncey Goss for being on, and also Mary Bondurant. And who are you going to vote for?
I don't get a vote, but I will say she maintained her hair and appearance expertly. I had to do the hat.
You can take your mask off now. There's nobody in the building except me. There you
There's,
are. You got mask face now.
Oh,
like
I'm
hair.
sure
you
I
don't have
do.
mask face. So this is great out here.
Oh,
just
it's great.
a little bit windy and chilly.
The beautiful, there's so many beautiful birds out here too, and it looks like an amazing golf course.
That was the first thing I thought when I got here. There's so many beautiful birds.
So many.
So many. All right, everybody. Episode number 3 is in the can. Episode number 4 will
They're
be.
out there in the rain trying to get
Can you
pictures.
see it?
This
Let's
is
see if you
great.
can see that with the camera. They're all. There's Mary's
There they
big
are.
group out there taking a picture. Next week on the Sunday show, we're going to be at the community house. And our guest next week will, I don't fall off the chair there. John.
You've had trouble
That's
with
right.
that today.
John Henshaw is going to be our first guest at 10 o'clock. And then at 10:30, Tim Drobnik will be on. And so that'll give us, 4 of the 6, I think. Yeah, 4 of the 6 and 5 of the 6. And then we have Dr. Scott Carter will be on the 21st. But Mike Miller has said, no thanks. We don't need your show. I'm going to win without you. So good luck to everybody. We'll be at Santini Plaza in Fort Myers Beach next Saturday for the fashion show. And we'll be back on Sunday from the community house. No days off.
We're doing the show first.
At 9 o'clock. Yes, and I don't have the guests for. I didn't write them down, but we'll be there tomorrow at next Saturday at 9, and we'll see you all. Good luck tonight to all you folks that have put your life savings on the game, and and hopefully everything will be okay tomorrow when you wake up. Thanks a lot, and bye bye. Got to play the music on the way out there. That's what you got to do.